Hello and welcome to the Fit and Free podcast. This is a podcast for women who want it all, to feel strong and confident in their bodies, as well as enjoying a sneaky mug on a Friday night. I'm an exercise physiologist and sports nutritionist, here to teach you how to achieve your body goals without food and your body controlling your life. So let's jump in. If you are someone who has been trying to stick to their calorie deficit, but you just keep losing control around food at nighttime, like you're good during the day, but then as soon as you get home from work, then you just can't get out of the snack cupboard, then this mini series is for you. Because over the next 3 episodes, I'm going to be breaking down exactly why you can't stick to your calorie deficit, and therefore the reason why you don't look like you work. So if you are struggling with this, I am so glad you're here, because we are going to break it down so that you can build the awareness and understand why you potentially are stuck, so that you can get your power back, so you know what you need to do to be successful with your body composition goals. So let's jump in. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another ep of the Fit and Free podcast. I'm feeling so good this morning. This morning we woke up, I had a little bit of a sleep in, got out of bed at like 6:30, and then instead of going on my normal morning walk, I was like, oh, I feel like going for a swim. So Niels and I went down to the beach, and there's this beautiful ocean pool. Oh, it was absolutely stunning. It was cold, it was windy, but it was like just what I needed. It was just like such a good way to wake up. I brought down my coffee in my little cup, and then I just sat there and enjoyed it. And I was just like, oh, such a vibe. And I'm so passionate about this in terms of proactively doing things to fill up our cup on a consistent basis. Because for me, like, my mental health hasn't been the best over the years. I have a few things that happened to me when I was growing up, and it just like really affected, my ability to learn how to regulate my emotions. And I've struggled with a lot of anxiety in the past. I've struggled a bit with like depressive thoughts. So it's something that I know that if I'm not consciously choosing to do things consistently to fill up my cup, I can get in some pretty bad ruts. Like in the past, I've been stuck in ruts with like social media and binge watching like Love Island and things like that. Like I go into vortexes. I've struggled with emotional eating in the past, so many things. So now I'm such an advocate of making sure that we're consistently doing things on a daily basis to make ourselves feel good. Because at the end of the day, we always have a choice. Like I started a gym program this week, and I've done 2 sessions and I'm freaking sore. I'm very sore today. So I could have chose to be like, oh, I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm just going to lay in bed. I'm just going to, stay here. I'm just going to essentially be a victim to my circumstance. But instead, I'm like, no, I know that I need to do things to fill up my cup. I know I need to be proactive with that. I know I need to take responsibility for that. So I was like, oh, let's go swimming. Let's go watch the sunrise. Let's go do this. Because now, like, oh my God, I feel so energized. I feel so amazing. And that's because of the choices that I have made in order to get here. Like when I woke up this morning, I was like low energy. I was irritable. I was off it. But then I was like, hang on a minute. I could sit here in my pity party, or I'm going to do something that makes me feel good to set myself up for such an amazing day. So this is my question for you guys, is what are you guys doing for yourself on a daily basis? And it doesn't have to be a big thing, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm doing this massive self-care routine, morning routine that's going to take me, 2 hours. It's like just the small things. Like, what are you doing for yourself every single day? Like today we drove down to the beach, went for a swim. Like in total, it took an hour. And that easily could have been reduced, but it's because I took my journal down there, I took my little coffee, and I just took my time, and it was beautiful. But it's like, what are you guys doing for yourselves on a daily basis? And the reason why I talk about this is because it goes hand in hand in the topic that we're speaking about over the next 3 weeks. And that is being able to stick to the calorie deficit. And how it kind of links is because your emotional well-being, your emotional state, and your ability to regulate your emotions determines if you're able to stick to your calorie deficit or not. And it's going to be literally the difference between you being able to stick to it and you not. And I'm passionate about this because I struggled with emotional eating for so freaking long, and it was sabotaging my ability to be successful with my nutrition. And this is why I want to bring so much awareness to this topic, because at the end of the day, so many people think they are broken. They're the problem. They don't have enough willpower. They don't have enough discipline. But in a matter of fact, it's actually one of the 3 things that I'm going to be speaking about in this mini series. And this is really where this mini series got sparked from, is like, I'm having so many conversations in my DMs and also with my clients. And like a lot of people are struggling with this topic. So I'm super excited to break it down, each of them, to hopefully, give you some awareness so you get your power back, you get the tools, all the things. So like I've already alluded to, the first reason why so many people are not able to stick to their calorie deficit is because of emotional eating. And I'm going to be diving deep into that next week, so something to look forward to. There's 2 other main reasons why people are not being able to stick to their calorie deficit. And the one that we're going to be speaking to today is the calorie deficit is not set up correctly. And I see it all the freaking time. It's like people think that they're doing all of the right things. They work out their calories online with a TDEE calculator. Maybe they're throwing it into ChatGPT. Maybe they're using one of those apps where they put in their details and then that throws out a generic meal plan. And then they start tracking their calories in MyFitnessPal, manipulating their calories to ensure they don't go over. Maybe they're like they plan out their day and maybe it gets to lunchtime and then like something happens and they're like, oh, get in MyFitnessPal so I can manipulate that. I'll just take a little bit from dinner and I'll just put it in my lunch just to ensure that I do not go over. Then I see people doing this for like 1-2 weeks and they're like, fine, they can stick to it. But then like as they continue to follow this, then they start to get extremely hungry, and the hunger really starts to hit them in the afternoon. So then what people do is then they create these tactics on how to stick to the calorie deficit essentially. And a lot of time people are, eating not much in the morning to back end their calories because they're like, oh, I get so hungry in the afternoon, so I'm not going to eat all morning. So then I have enough calories for the afternoon just in case I lose control. Or they're trying things like, just trying to distract themselves from their hunger with 0-calorie soft drinks to push through. But then eventually, as they're doing these tactics, by nighttime, they are freaking starving. And then when they're making their dinner, they're snacking as they go because they can't wait. Then they sit down and have their allowed portion of food, but after they finish it, then they feel so unsatisfied. Then they try to distract themselves with TV or sitting on their phone, but then the head noise is just so crazy. It's like you just can't stop thinking about that chocolate or that cookie or that ice cream in the cupboard. Then eventually you give into one snack, and before you know it, you've just eaten everything in sight. And then you spiral. I can't believe I just ate all of that. Why can't I stop? I better hide the wrappers. I don't want anyone to see how much I've eaten. Oh, I feel so bloated and guilty now. Why do I keep doing this? Tomorrow will be different. I will be better tomorrow. And this is what people do. And you guys, if you are stuck in this cycle, know that you are absolutely not alone. And I feel you so deeply because I used to be stuck in this cycle for years. But the reason why you cannot stick to your calorie deficit, especially in the evening, number one, you are not broken. Your metabolism isn't broken. You are not broken. The reason why you're overeating is because the calorie deficit that you have set up for yourself is probably too low. It's crazy because fitness apps can literally, calorie calculators can sometimes underestimate your needs by 500 or 600 calories, right? And if your calorie deficit is too big, then of course you're going to be freaking starving. Of course you're going to be thinking about food. And of course you're not going to be able to stick to it because it's just too big. And then where we pair that with a all or nothing mentality, and this is again where a lot of people get it stuck. It's the lack of the actually under eating, and then the all or nothing mentality is okay, people think that they're the problem, they can't stick to it. So then they overeat, they get into this spiral. Then they say, well, I've already ruined it. F it. I'm just going to start again on tomorrow. So then they just eat more food, which then just makes the cycle even worse. When what you guys have to realize is that You're not the problem. The problem is that you've set your calories too low and you can't freaking stick to it. And then because you've got these tactics of trying to eat not very much in the morning, so then you have a lot of calories in the afternoon and like essentially saving your calories, what do you think is happening here? Of course, you're going to be freaking starving by the afternoon if you haven't eaten anything all morning. And then if you're in this cycle of like, essentially undereating and then overeating, then you might even be waking up the next day not even hungry. Well, you're not hungry because you've backed in all your calories and you've eaten so much at night. So of course, then in the morning, you're not hungry again. Then induces a lot of fear because your pattern is, well, I don't eat in the morning, then I eat so much in the evening. Then that creates a lot of fear that you're going to lose control. But the reason why you get that fear is because of your irregular eating pattern and matter of fact that you just are not eating enough in the first place. And this is this whole concept of how so many women are actually eating more and losing body fat. Because when you actually set up your calorie deficit in the right way, then it shouldn't feel too different. Like, yes, you're going to feel a little bit hungry. Yes, you're going to have a little bit less energy. Yes, you're going to not like be able to train as hard in the gym, but it's not extreme. It's just a little bit, especially at the beginning. Like at the beginning of a calorie deficit, you probably shouldn't even feel much of a calorie deficit. It should just be slight. It should just be a little bit. It shouldn't be extremely hard to stick to, and you shouldn't be coming up with all of these strategies to stick to your calories. Because when you do it right and when you do it in a sustainable way, it almost doesn't even like, yes, of course, it's going to feel a little bit different because you've gone from, eating whatever to, yes, you have to be a little bit more calculated. You do have to, be a little bit more aware when you move into a fat loss phase, but it doesn't have to be this massive change. And, if you are struggling within this cycle and you are keep losing control and overeating at night, what that probably means, it could be the fact that your calorie deficit is too big, as in your calories are too low. Because think about it like this, right? Like, your nutrition essentially is like fuel to your car. And, you wouldn't take your car to get fixed by someone who doesn't know what they're doing, right? Then why are you doing the same with your body? Why are you using these generic apps, these online calculators to work out your own calories? Like if you do not know what you're doing, then of course you're going to set yourself up with, not the results that you want. Like I personally would never take my car to someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. So therefore, like you're treating your body worse than your car, which is wild to me because at the end of the day, your nutrition is your health. So it's so important that we're getting this right and that we're feeling our best, not only for fat loss, not only for, muscle gain, body composition, but it's also how we're feeling every single day, which is super, super important. So this conversation really was triggered by a lot of DMs and a lot of people struggling with this, as well as I was just doing a little bit of research because last week, I don't know if you've heard it, but I did an episode of why following generic fitness influencers programs are killing your gains. But so then I wanted to do a little bit more research into it. So recently I downloaded a generic fitness app from someone that I follow online. His marketing is very good in and around glute growth. So I looked into his app and I was like, okay, cool, let's give it a go. Let's have a look. I then went in to work out what my calories should be in a deficit and at maintenance, and I was absolutely shook. I know for a fact what my maintenance calories are right now, simply because I did a fat loss phase from January to the start of April. Then for the last month of all of April, it's the 2nd of May now, just to give a little bit of context. All of April, I transitioned straight back to maintenance. I didn't reverse diet, straight to back to maintenance to maintain my fat loss. And I have been sitting there for the last 4 months. It's gone super smooth. I'm super happy. I've just been sitting at 63 kilos the entire time. And because I was measuring my food and I then know my maintenance calories, and my maintenance calories right now is sitting at about 2,200. And guys, do not compare what I eat to you. I am not the same height, not the same weight. We don't do the same activity level. So what I eat is different to what you should eat. So you guys need to know that. don't make the mistake of copying other people. Absolutely not. Do not do that. But anyway, so my maintenance calories right now is sitting about 2,200. I'm feeling really good here. I'm feeling full. I'm feeling satisfied. I'm feeling like, yeah, all round vibe. My training has gotten better, all of the things. Anyway, I put my information into this app. It asked me 5 questions. It asked me my gender, my age, my height, my weight, and how many gym sessions that I'm doing. And it spat out my number. And the number for my maintenance was 1,600. 1,600. And I looked at that and I was like, oh my God, that's like a big deficit for me. And that is crazy for me to be eating that many calories as maintenance. And it just like really got me thinking about this whole thing of like so many women are doing this. So many women are putting their numbers into these calculators and it's spitting out these such low numbers that of course you can't freaking stick to your calorie deficit. And there's a difference between overeating and eating enough. And I'm passionate about this is because, you know, if you're not eating enough, then it's also going to feed into your emotional state. If you're not eating enough, you're going to get into your head and start overthinking things. And this is why with my clients, number one for me is before we do any sort of mindset work, any sort of, you know, learning how to regulate our emotions and breaking binge eating habits and patterns, it's like the first thing that everyone needs to be making sure is that they're eating enough. Because if you're not eating enough, you're going to get into be much harder to emotionally regulate. Then we're going to start overthinking things because essentially the body needs enough fuel to function. Your brain needs enough carbohydrates to function. And if we're not, you know, covering our basic needs with just nutrition, then there's, you know, no amount of mindset work is really going to be able to, you know, help that. And while, yes, I'm a firm believer and you absolutely need both, and that's why we do both within the Fit and Free Academy, but it's just like you just need to be making sure that the calories that you're eating and then, of course, the macronutrients that you're eating is set correctly. Very passionate about it, as you can tell. And this is essentially exactly what we do inside the Fit and Free Academy. Because at the end of the day, like when you set your calories and, you know, it's not just a one set, one and done and stick to it. You do have to monitor how your body is responding to the calories and you've got to be adaptive. So for example, like initially when I first set my own maintenance calories at the start of April, it wasn't correct because I was still losing. I was still thinking about food. I was still hungry. So I knew at that point, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not at maintenance. I have to adjust this. I have to change. And a lot of people looking at this as it is very black and white, as in these are my calories, I have to stick to it. Well, no, there's actually a lot of gray within nutrition. It is going to ebbs and flow, and you do have to be monitoring how your body is responding to the amount of fuel and then make adjustments where you need to. And this is where I'm really big on taking ownership of your nutrition and ownership of your numbers instead of shying away and being like, oh, it should be right, or oh, yeah, that's close enough. And well, yes, while we don't have to be exactly perfect, we do have to have a really good understanding and a good idea of how much we're fueling. And I love to anchor back into measuring out portion sizes and things like that because my pattern around food is less. I do less because of like my disordered eating background and my fear of weight gain that, you know, used to dictate my behavior is, so my pattern is I tend to plate up less if I'm not being intentional about it. So that's why I still like anchoring into portion sizes to being like, oh yeah, this is how much I need to be, this is what my plate needs to look like. Because, you know, it's all those micro decisions when you decide to do less. It's like, oh, less is better. Less here, less there, less avocado, less cheese, less fat, less oil, less is then building up to underfuel to lose control later. And this is why it's so important that we take ownership of our nutrition and not only ownership, but then also adjust and change as we need to. And that's what we do really well inside the Fit and Free Academy. We set your calories for you to making sure that they are correct, that you are, you know, you're in the right type of deficit or you're hitting maintenance. And then every 2 weeks, we're measuring how your body is responding every 2 weeks to ensure that the nutrition calculations are correct. We're monitoring weight. We're not using weight as a measure of progress. We're using weight as a measure of, are we fueling adequately? Are we fueling appropriately? Then we're looking at body composition in terms of we're looking at progress photos, but then also we're measuring how you're feeling, your energy levels, your sleep, and your performance in the gym. Like, are you getting stronger? All of the things that are actually the measures of success. Because essentially, when you actually get your calories right, when you know exactly how much and what you need to eat in alignment with your goal, is when you're going to be able to stick to your calorie deficit and you're going to feel calm and control in and around food. You're going to stop overeating at night. You're going to stop these vicious yo-yo cycles of being good during the day and then losing it at night and saying, "But I'm just going to start again tomorrow." Right? There's none of that anymore. It is you are cool, you're calm, you're in control, you're fueling your body correctly, you've got so much energy, you're performing in the gym, and overall, you're feeling better in your clothes, you're feeling more confident. And the coolest part about it is because you actually understood how you got there, because you actually understood and owned your nutrition and knew how to fuel your body correctly. The coolest thing is that the results are actually going to be sustainable. Like, how many times have you tried a 12-week challenge, 8-week challenge? You do it for 8 weeks. As soon as the challenge is over, 3 weeks later, all the weight is back on. It's because the way that you did that result is through just pure restriction and motivation, like short-term, motivation and discipline from the challenge. But then as soon as the challenge goes away, then because you didn't actually focus on your long-term habits, then the weight just comes back on. And because you actually didn't understand nutrition and actually how to fuel your body properly, then the weight comes back on. And that's why we, inside the academy, we're making sure that you're walking away with knowing exactly how to fuel your body properly so that you can see results for the long term. So you guys, I'm so excited because 5th of May, you've missed out. The doors are closed right now for the Fit and Free Academy, but they will be opening again. So if you want to get this sorted, if you actually want to be able to stick to your calorie deficit and this resonated with you, then send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know that you listened to this podcast episode. Let's have a conversation to see how potentially could help you. Like I said, we're not taking clients on right now, but the doors will be open. So there will be a wait list and we can have a conversation to get that ball rolling. But like always, I'm so grateful that you are here. I love you always, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.